Good evening and welcome to another edition of Money Talk with Melanie. I am your business diva, Melanie Collette, broadcasting live via SHR Media. And I'm in lovely, beautiful Cape May, New Jersey, which is actually not lovely or beautiful at the moment because it looks like it's about to storm out. I am going to dispense with my normal show format because I have NFL Super Bowl champion and author Burgess Owens as my first guest, and he's a very, very busy man, as you all know, and has a ton of interviews, and I wanted to make sure that we got right to the meat of what I wanted to speak with him about, so I'll do all the housekeeping and all that stuff later, but I want to say hi to everybody in the chat quickly. Chris, Stan, Dave, hi to everybody in the chat, everybody out there in SHR Media Land. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate it. Hello, Doug. For those of you, I don't think there's anybody who does not know Burgess Owens, so I'm going to dispense with the, with all the bio and all of that, and just introduce Mr. Burgess Owens, NFL football great, and Super Bowl champion, and author of his latest book, Why We Stand. How are you, Mr. Owens?
Melanie, I'm doing absolutely fine. And just so you know, out in Salt Lake City is lovely and beautiful. So please come and visit anytime you get a chance.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Excellent. Well, listen, John Burnett is here. Richard's here. Donald's here. Hello. I hope everybody's doing well. So, Burgess, I was talking to you before we got on the air about your article. I want to make sure that I have the title absolutely correct. The Black Community's 911 and Pearl Harbor. And I was telling you that I posted it on my Facebook page. And our guest for the second hour, Robert Houston, is here. I want to give him a shout out. John War is here, and Marsha is here in the Facey chat. But I wanted to talk to you about that article because I posted it on my Facebook page, as I explained to you. And as what normally happens on my Facebook page, I could post, like, I think kittens are awesome, and somebody would say, fight me. Like, that's just how my Facebook page is. And I thought your article was fantastic and on point, and someone disagreed, and a fight ensued. So please tell us I tagged the person in the post, so hopefully he'll join us in the live stream and ask some questions. I invited him so that he could ask you some questions directly about the article. But tell us what was on your mind behind that article.
First of all, I appreciate you having that invite. You know, Melanie, what I love about our country is that we have always been the country that believes in thought, in perspective, and education. And then whenever we can talk with respect with each other, even if we don't agree, we can be respectful in the process, and we move forward that way. So anybody who has issues with my thought process, please call. Love to chat with you.
He's here. I just saw him. Joseph just joined the chat.
Well, let me give you a little bit of background so I can tell you exactly why what the black race experience is exactly like 9/11 or Pearl Harbor. And we need to start off with a little perspective on our history. You know, what Karl Marx, the communist, said back in the 1800s was the first battleground is rewriting history. So I'm going to give you a history that people have no idea of how well the black race is doing 40 years after the end of slavery. And this is happening, by the way, because any culture, any people that live in the country gives freedom, opportunity, and hope will do the exact same thing that my race did at the beginning and middle of 1900s. In 1905, there's a little college down in Tuskegee, Alabama, all black, that was producing more self-made millionaires than Harvard, Yale, and Princeton combined. 1905. In 1905, we had over 16 different countries coming to Tuskegee to learn how to do agriculture because we were leading the charge in that technology. For the 40s, 50s, and 60s, it was the black community that led our country in terms of the commitment of men to marriage, the percentage of entrepreneurs, the growth of the middle class, the percentage of men to education, and now we've flipped that to we're the bottom of all of that within 40, 50 years after, quote, the civil rights days. So what's happened to our race very simply is this. We no longer have the same pride in our young men, our young women, our children, where we're convinced our black girls, close to 2,000 per day, that killing their babies is health care. We've been able to sit back and watch this. In the state of California, 75% of the black boys, this came out last year, 75% of the black boys in the state of California cannot pass standard reading and writing tests. Now, in 2018, if you can't read and write, you're going to become part of a game. Your life is going to be short. You're going to be a mess you're not to be a value at all to our society. And yet we have in our country at this point the lowest expectation for any race that's out there. So what's happened to us very simply, when you're looking at the disaster that's happened in 1960s, we bought on to the atheist, Marxist, and socialist agenda, in which our race was told that we cannot proceed without somebody else's position. And we were told that entrepreneurship is not where it's at, but to get in line and wait for welfare. We have been decimated. Millions and millions of Black Americans are not alive today because of what's happened through policies over the last 50 to 60 years. And I don't care whether it's one night, one day, or if it's a series of 40 or 50 years, when Americans are attacked and murdered and decimated the way it happened on 9/11 or Pearl Harbor, it's the same end result. Americans are attacked. We need to, as a country, recognize that we have the same value to those who lost their lives in those particular days and stand up and fight against those ideologies, those policies that's put our country, this race in the way it has up to today. By the way, we are coming back. We're leaving the plantation, and as these new results are coming out, we're getting more jobs, more opportunities to start dealing with the education deficit, and we're going to come back strong the way we were back when I was growing up in the 1960s.
Indeed. And I'm taking in all that you said, and I was thinking about what you said about about us coming back, and about the welfare system, about the school system, and about the need about instilling in us as a people that we need to have somebody else do for us. And I thought to myself, what is more enslaving than that thought?
Yeah, Melody, if I can say this, because I was very fortunate about 5-6 years ago to stumble upon a little bit of my history, which I think every American should do. If we ever took the time to go back and learn our history, we'd be very, very, very proud of what we've done together as a people, across the board, every race. And my great-great-grandfather, Burgess, came across in 1848 in the belly of the slave ship, sold on an auction block in Charleston, South Carolina. But he escaped with the help, as a young man, an orphan, escaped with the help of other Black slaves. Now, here's the difference. These men that escaped, there's a difference in physical slavery and mental slavery. These people they were physical slaves in chains, but in their mind they believed in freedom. And they thought about how to escape, and they did. Not only did he escape, but he went out to the west, out to Texas, became a successful entrepreneur, owned 100 acres of land, bought in 2 years, started the first Black church, the first Black elementary school, the pillar of his community, because he was a free American and proud American. By the way, he was also a Republican. So this is what happens when you have mental freedom versus mental slavery. And today, what the Democratic Party has done to the Black community, look at every single community that they oversee, every single one, you see nothing but misery, because there's hopelessness, there's mental slavery, people wait for white people or somebody else to do for them what they should do for themselves in a free country. So if we understand that and go out and serve these young people, teach them our history, and let them know that they're special enough to overcome every single obstacle, and every obstacle is there for them to grow and become better and to become a productive American. And we can help them to do that, and we'll get our country back in a big, big way.
Indeed. And this was before. This was not, recent that you're talking about. This is your history. But, that's not what we're telling kids in public school. You know that. I'm a former public school teacher. And that's not what we're telling public school teachers. I had a run-in, an incident, a fight, argument, if you will, with one of my education professors, because I was told, while she was looking in my Black face, basically, standing there with the dad with a PhD and in a master's program myself, that Black kids need to be able to speak Ebonics and be able to speak according to their culture, and need to be able to be taught that way in the classroom. She was I didn't understand how she figured she was going to get away with that, and like I was going to be cool with that thought. And I have 2 nephews, and I very plainly and clearly let her know that I disagreed. And I didn't care what any of their studies said. I said, what you're communicating to my nephews and boys like them is that they're not capable of learning English. I can't think of anything more racist than that.
Well, it's interesting how the left works, how they think. It is the most demeaning thing in the world for you to tell your kids that because you can't think, because you can't compete, we're going to develop an entire new language for you. And we still have to know how adverbs or verbs or nouns work together. You can speak the way you want to, but just know when you get done, you're not going to get a job. Because nobody's going to hire you speaking your minds. And here's the thing that we have to remember. We've had our enemy through the last 100 years. We've had the white supremacists. The white supremacists were responsible for KKK responsible for 4,000 lives lynching. Over 1,300 of those were white, by the way. The rest were blacks. Then we have the black elitists. The black elitists set aside and allowed the matadors. It allowed our race to be attacked by the leftists, in which we not only we're allowing ourselves to think abortion is health care, but to think that our boys cannot think, cannot provide, cannot lead. And we raise them to be whiners, weenies, and wets. And so we need to stand up against these leftists because they are racist. They target our race. We need to stand up against them and make sure that we're teaching our kids to man up and not go in that direction.
Eric, I couldn't agree more. Eric Jessup in the chat says, indoctrination over education. And he also said, we're fighting 2 generations of infiltration and hashtag soft bigotry.
Yes. Can I add to that? Because he just nailed it. But it's been more than two generations. It's actually been back as far as 1910. Remember, I talked about what was happening in 1905. We were leading in terms of the self-made millionaires. We had the first self-made female millionaire, which was Madam C.J. Walker in 1915.
Yes.
We had all kinds of success going on. But here's the deal. Then came along in 1910 an organization called NAACP, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. The problem is that it was not started by colored people. It was started by 21 white socialist, Marxist, atheist, race-controlled Democrats. That their goal was to demean every bit of our progress, to attack people like Booker T. Washington, to stop our growth in entrepreneurship, and to turn us into welfare people. And they succeeded. For the last 50 or 60 years, it's the NAACP that's heading the charge with abortionists. It's heading the charge with keeping our kids in these dumb schools, not being educated. It's about elitism. And unfortunately, we have blacks in our race who see themselves as genetically more superior than the rest of us, and they look at their education, they look at their money in the bank, and they see themselves as a cusp above the rest of us, and they don't mind sacrificing their race for profit and prestige. And unfortunately, that's what we're dealing with. And I have that in my book, by the way, because we've been surrounded by black elitists, and we need to get past those guys.
You said a mouthful there, and I don't know if everybody caught what he just said about there being black elitists among us that allow allow our race to be attacked. And what came to my mind was, these are probably the same folks that own slaves, same black. I mean, really, probably the same.
Do you know that there are people in your audience that have no idea that blacks own black slaves? They have not been taught that little bit of history. But you're right. The elitists are elitists, and they are the worst thing that can happen to any race. And believe me, we have our hands full in our race ourselves. We got to get past that. Be a humble, serving race. Look out for each other. Lift each other up the way we did the generations past, and move past the elitist segment of our country.
Exactly. But that was the first, and I think many people who are not black have no idea about the intra racism that goes on in the black community, and about how there is I mean, you said a mouthful when you said there's a segment of our race that thinks they're better than everybody else, and that's been going on since the beginning of time. That whole
first of all, I'm so glad your audience is hearing this stuff, because they probably have not this is probably the first time they've heard it from you. But there are many people out here that have not heard that there was actually segregation within the black community when there was segregation outside the white community. And that segregation has been going on since the early 1900s. We had the people like the NAACP. Basically, they were educated, light-skinned, wavy-haired blacks who saw themselves as a cut above the rest. They called themselves the talented 10.
Yep.
And I remember experiencing this when I was going to Tallahassee in the mid-'60s. My dad was dark-skinned. He was a professor, but he showed me very quickly what elitists were about and what they thought. They wanted to keep everybody who was not like them separated from them. So even in the black community, they had blacks who separated themselves purposely. They didn't allow other blacks to come into their clubs. They allowed them to come into their neighborhoods. And that is, again, unfortunately, the way that people don't understand the Judeo-Christian values our country's been based on. If they don't get that, there's a very high tendency to become look at people from outside in versus inside out.
Absolutely. And Chris Levels actually brought up the Talented 10 right before you said it. He brought that up. And yeah, he did. And actually, he's a show host himself. He's got a show called Prophecy and Politics. Actually, I might want to hook your publicist up with him. It's a great show, and you might want to be a guest on his show as well. And Marcia Smith commented, "We're segregated by books, education, and politics." Also very true. Eric Jessup said, "We tell kids to stay in school, but we are not learning the truth and think." You call a liar. Yeah, you're called a liar when you correct them. True.
That's so true. That's so true. Well, think about this. And the early 1900s, our race understood the value of education. That's why Booker T. Washington did what he did. Matter of fact, not only did he go out and start Tuskegee in the 1800s, it became one of the most successful black colleges, but he also networked. He was also able to get people like Julius Rosenbaum, who started Student Robot, and Andrew Carnegie to invest in the black schools. And there were over 4,700 black schools in 15 states because of this collaboration of people who understood what education was all about. And that's why you had in those days one of those small black colleges in the southern, and I wish I could remember the name, that actually beat USC, the leading national champion in debate in early 1930s, which is a big deal. Because one of the things that whites in those days, I would say, those that were racist, they put down the black race in terms of the lack of intelligence. And so our race, very simply, instead of feeling sorry for ourselves or demanding that somebody change the way people thought, they went out and went to work. They started educating their kids. They started making sure they understood how to speak, how to think, how to compete. And we went out and kicked butt, big time. And that's what the 40s to 60s shows, that any race in this country, I don't care what kind of parameters are put around them to keep them down. If they're given freedom, opportunity, and hope, they'll overcome all those obstacles. And that's what our race did. And it's time for us to teach our kids what our great past did, so they know what's available to them. To be to stand up and man up, stop complaining, and stop letting people make you feel like a victim. The biggest put down to my dad's generation was they looked as a victim. And we have people today proud of that fact. And people look at them as being somebody that can't do without them. We need to get past that. That's what socialists and Marxists and atheists do. That's not what people who believe in God do. People who believe in God feel very simply that we all are capable of being special, of overcoming. And if you can do it, I can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. That's the way the Judeo-Christian value system is set up. And we need to get back to that as the way our country's been built in a big way.
Amen. As our mutual friend Lonnie Poindexter and host of Lion Chasers says, you plus Jesus is the majority. There we
go. He's a good man. He's a good man, by the way.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Now, apparently, no one has told Colin Kaepernick about this. You like that transition? Boy. That was like really subtle, wasn't it? You like that?
Yeah. Well, let me just say something. Let me say something about Marxists. And it's bad to say that we've allowed our colleges to become the manufacturing arm of Marxism and socialism and atheism. But when you have people, and this is what's sad about very fast success in this country. Again, I played football, so I know it was a different day in terms of the kind of income. But I know the idea. I know the feelings when you can become successful at a young age, make a lot of money, and everybody telling you that you're all that. You start believing it. And unfortunately, you have people who truly believe that they're more special than the rest of us. So they think, from their perspective, that the best they can do is tell people that they're lucky, that what they did, you can't do, and what it does is steal the dreams of those who are looking to them as examples. The worst thing that people like Colin Kaepernick can do to our race, our kids, for those who look up to them, is tell them that they can't overcome the obstacles like he did. But that's what the leaders do. They live a great American dream. They live a great lifestyle. They give the kids the best colleges. They drive the best cars, the best neighborhoods, travel, continue around the world, and tell every other American how they can't do it because American white races won't let them do it. It's because that kind of language, that kind of message allows them to stay in power, them to make the income they're going to make. It's a very narcissistic and very selfish way, but again, that's the way of Marxism, socialism, and we need to teach our kids that that they can do much better by believing that they are very special and overcome any kind of obstacle that they're faced with.
Now we have some dissent in the Facebook chat. Eric Jessup says that that's not the Kaepernick message. I've heard this before among some conservatives that are well melanated like ourselves, and that are on Kaepernick's side. What do you say to black conservatives that are?
Here's what I say. First of all, you stand for our country because it gave them an opportunity to make $12 million in 1 year. You go out and build a business that allows young men to have a chance to work and have a job and give them hope that they can make it and move forward. You tell our men that are 70% of them that are forsaking our families to man up and take care of your kids. You tell your young men to go out and get education. They go out and produce, and stop telling our young people that white people stop them from moving forward. What a wimpy way of any man to say, I'm not succeeding because white people won't let me do it. That to me is the most, you talk about a way of looking down of our own race. If we end up addressing the problems that we have, first of all, if our kids not educated, they're going to go out and do higher crime. 90% of blacks being killed today are killed by black people, not by white cops. If we teach our kids to respect the law, respect our flag, respect women, respect authority, then we won't be at the very cusp of every single issue when it comes down to negative, when it comes down to crime. We're just doing the crime, guys. The reason we're doing the crime is because we're not giving our kids hope. So, the people like Kaepernick, if you want to do something, get to work. Stop just running around and signing autographs and making millions of dollars on this message. Get to work. Get a business. Hire your kids and tell them they can do it. That's what every parent does in this country. They don't run around telling their kids, hey guys, you can't make it because white people won't let you do it. What kind of parent is that? And what kind of leader is that? He's not a leader for the American way. He's a leader for Marxism. Very simple.
Wow. I'm not sure you made it really clear what your position was on that, Burgess.
Mel, can I just say this? And I say that with passion, and I really hope that Eric can listen to what I'm saying, do some homework. First of all, recognize how great our country's been for all of us. But just know this, we cannot move ahead if we allow the quote leaders in our country to tell our kids what they can't do. And I just went through the numbers of how many black kids in the state of California. 75% cannot read and write. And yet, when I say that, no one takes alarm. Eric, no one else says, that can't be right. That can't be right. They accept it because it is exactly what's being expected of our race now. And once we start looking down that race, I just want to make this one quick. I don't want to lose this one thought.
No, keep going.
Go back from 1960s. Look at Martin Luther King. Look at his leadership during the summers of the 60s when they were fighting against Jim Crow laws and KKK. Note that they were wearing white shirts, dark ties, and their leadership was very articulate. They spoke with passion and with common sense and with articulation and education. That's because not only were they fighting the Jim Crow laws, they were fighting the thought that was being put out that blacks were not able to think, that we weren't able to produce, that we were reckless and lazy, and all those things that the left, that the Democrats at that time was pushing out. Well, we're back to that right now. You go to BET, Black Entertainment Television, and what you see there is exactly what the 1960s is owned by white people, by white Democrats.
I know.
Just like NAACP was owned by white people, white Democrats. So the message is coming through our race, the meeting our boys, our young men, so they're not growing up to be strong, courageous leadership men, is white liberal Democrats. That's our enemy, along with black elitists who stand as matadors and let them in to make damage on our race, like the 9/11 and Pearl Harbor.
Absolutely. And from a macro perspective, the enemy is the enemy. Let's not forget what this is all about. What this really is all about is our destruction. Bottom line, the enemy, it's a distraction.
It is, and Melody, we live in a country that, because we built on the Judeo-Christian values, which was very, very big, by the way. When our race came out of slavery, we had no place to turn but to God. And that's why they did so well in the early 1900s, because we were such a Christian-based religion, a race, a community, that we believe we can overcome anything with the help of them. So it's our Judeo-Christian values against Marxism, socialism, and atheism that we're fighting, not each other. The fact that Eric and I can disagree is absolutely fine. We can sit down and have a very respectful disagreement, walk away experienced and still not be on the same page. But what happens when you bring in the other, that leftist, the real anger of socialists and Marxists, they don't want to have arguments. They don't want to have disagreements. They want to have fights. They want to set you up. They want to bully you. They want to damage you. They want to destroy you. That is the other side of Judeo-Christian values. So let's understand what we're up against, guys. And it's not a race thing. It's not a gender thing. It's those who want to divide us because they hate God. And we have to understand that and recognize we just cannot continue to vote for those kind of ideologies.
That's right. Amen. Before I let you go, can you tell everybody where we can find the book, Why We Stand? What, did I say that right?
Okay.
I didn't look at it.
You can find it. It's a pre-sales on Amazon.com. My previous book is still available. It's called Liberalism: How to Turn Good Men into Whiners, Leaders, and Wimps. And you can also find it on my Facebook page at official Burgess Owens, which I'm communicating all the time about our history in particular, or my website, burgessowenstalk.com. And Melanie, let's do this as often as possible. I love this, and I love the fact your audience kind of took part. And guys, let's continue to talk together. We'll get through this thing and make it right. Okay?
I love it. Thank you so much for being on the show, Burgess. It's good talking to you again.
Thank you, Mel. Appreciate it. We'll talk soon.
Yep, absolutely. Have a good one. Well, you are listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette. That was my guest, NFL Super Bowl champion and author, Burgess Owens. We are going to take a break, and we'll be right back. I want to thank everybody for listening.
The Word of God clearly states that we all come short of the glory of God. Basically, we are all sinners and mess up, not just men and Republicans. LOI. Ron Edwards on today's page from the Edwards Notebook. One of the bedrocks of the American legal system is the presumption of innocence until one is proven guilty. Unfortunately, due to multiple decades of indoctrinating generation after generation of American students into becoming knee-jerk, wimpus, Americanist, apologeticus, American-hating robots. At the same time, students and others are convinced that merely wanting to protect our borders and build a needed wall is racist and bigoted. Even more insane is the belief among many Americans is that a female must be believed no matter what if she accuses a Republican or a constitutional scholar of wrongdoing, especially if the accusation is sexual in nature. Hawaii Senator Mazie Hirono believes that all female accusations against men must be believed simply because it is a female making the accusation. Such idiocy only perpetuates the buffoonery image of leftists whose goals are to literally destroy this republic through lies and division. Ultimately, they shall fail, and our republic will be indivisible with liberty and justice for all. I'm Ron Edwards. Join me Fridays at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific on AmericanMatters.us and SHRmedia.com. And Sunday midnights on Talk America Radio Network.
Ron Edwards, the new voice of America.
Sponsored by the Tri-County Liberty Coalition. Right now, you can get the credit you deserve. Just visit MrCreditRepair.biz. Let their expert credit repair specialists remove late payments, charge-offs, collections, even old bankruptcies fast and easy. That's MrCreditRepair.biz. Why go anyplace else? Increase your credit score today. At Mr. Credit, you always get a quality service, all at our everyday discounted price. Stop getting turned down for cars, credit cards, or even new homes. Visit MrCreditRepair.biz today. That's MrCreditRepair.biz. Your credit repair is our #1 priority.
Hello, and welcome to this week's Money Talk Minute. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette, and this week's Money Talk Minute is about undervalued financial advice. And I will admit that this was not my original idea. I was doing some research on what to do this week's Money Talk Minute about, and I found a blog post by a Mr. Ben Carlson, and it struck me. It's more of a philosophical type of financial advice, but I thought it was important. And it's 3 things that are just really, I thought, important financial advice to live by, so I thought I would give it a shot. So there are 3 undervalued financial principles or advice to live by that I thought my audience could benefit from. So the first one that he posted was avoid the allure of more. And what does that mean? Well, it means when you come by a chunk of money or you make a lot of money, there's a temptation to want more. And this is a dangerous temptation. Not that it's not okay to make money, but a lot of times what happens is you underappreciate having that money, and you start becoming kind of obsessed with making more money, obsessed to the point where you neglect other things. And so the first thing that he listed as financial advice is to avoid the allure of more. Kind of focus on making that money work for you and not so much working toward, grabbing more bundles of money. Focus, be educated, that kind of thing. The second thing that he said was that envy is more expensive than gratitude. And the article pointed out that a lot of times we compare ourselves to our neighbors when, in fact, overall, the entire world is doing better financially than our ancestors. But we don't appreciate that. We look at our next door neighbor who we think is doing better than we are, and we become envious of this, and therefore we are constantly striving to do better than the next person. And, people will tell you, the world is not doing well economically, when in fact, historically, that is not true. And I thought that was an excellent point, and we need to be careful about that. And then the last point was time and health matter more than wealth. And I think we heard that, especially those of us who are of a certain age, have heard this over and over again as we continue to move forward. We've heard that, no older person as they reach their golden years has ever said, I wish I had worked more. They've always said they wish they had spent more time, they wish they had taken better care of their health. They wish they had spent more time with their family, they had vacationed more. No one wished they had worked more. And so, as far as financial advice is concerned, your time is just way more valuable than making more money. So, I thought this article had a really good impact on me, and I thought it might benefit the audience. So that's your Money Talk Minute for this week. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette. If you have any questions about things like college funding or protecting your retirement or life insurance, be sure to give me a call or email me at moneytalkwithmelanie, or you can call me at 937-756-6639. Have a fantastic week, and I will see you soon. Welcome back. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette. I hope everyone is doing well and that you enjoyed the first part of the show with Mr. Burgess Owens. I thought he absolutely killed. I hope you guys think so too. I also did not mention, because we didn't do the my usual typical open. I didn't properly introduce a brand new sponsor, and he is also going to be the guest for the second hour around 6:05, Mr. Credit Repair himself, Robert Houston. So I'm excited that I'm going to have him on for the second hour. He's a senior credit analyst from Mr. Credit Repair, Inc. He's going to talk to us about taking steps to repair and restore your personal credit. And it's very obviously a very important topic. So I'm excited that I'm going to have him on the show, and he is also a brand new Money Talk with Melanie sponsor. So I am super duper excited about that. I figured for the next few minutes I would talk to you guys. There's nothing really much going on in the news, so not really much to talk about. But if you have, I'm just kidding. So if you have been paying attention, you've noticed that Kavanaugh, it looks like barring any problems, it looks like Justice Kavanaugh is going to have the votes to become a Supreme Court justice. Now I'm going to tell you, I'm not 100% confident that the Democrats aren't going to try anything crazy. I'm not. I think they've lost their ever-loving minds. So, right now it looks like he has the votes, but everybody's, he has, I think, a couple more votes than he needs, but I'm still nervous. I don't trust them. I honestly do not trust them. So I'm a little concerned about that. I'm still concerned about the midterms. I don't know about you guys. Yeah, Katina said that the liberals are plotting this second. I agree. I mean, some of us are, some conservatives are already taking a victory lap, but I believe that they are plotting something dastardly as we speak. I was texting, exactly, Marcia. I was texting with my friends. I'm sure all of us probably have those political friends that we talk to all the time. And we were texting earlier, kind of, woohoo, yay, he's going to pass. But, I was the one dissenter that was like, they're probably planning something horrible right now. So Katina said they're demons. Of course they're going to pull something. Exactly. So, I'm kind of like, brace myself. Chris Lovell said Democrats put the cray-cray in cray. Put the cray in cray-cray. It's true. And they don't learn. And Katina, I tend to agree with you on it being demonic, because who else doesn't learn? Who else doesn't learn like they don't learn? They keep pulling the same stuff over and over again, and they don't learn. Like what they did with this whole thing with Judge Kavanaugh was almost predictable. They tried to, they do everything super duper like shady and conniving, and they don't learn. Like, instead of just like focusing on like trying to win honestly and not being like super conniving, no, that's not how they do things. Because they have, the only God that they have is themselves. That's kind of how I feel about it. I don't understand why they don't learn. I'm not saying that Republicans aren't doing their own shady stuff. I'm sure that they are. But I'm saying what they are doing is just insane. It's going to be a super narrow vote that they have tomorrow. I think the most narrow in history, which, is crazy. Eric said maybe we'll get lucky and they will succeed. Barrett was better. Barrett was better? Really, Eric? Katina said they are unhinged and driven by madness and pure evil. Yeah, Soros funded the rioters. That's the other thing. Like, none of it's organic. They have no problem with like pretending just to get their way. They do not care about the American people at all. And I am in fear. I was on BZ's. Yes, really, Eric. Why do you say that, Eric? That merit? Why do you say that? I was on BZ, the Bloviating Zeppelins show last night out of California. He's another great host on SHR Media, and we were talking about this, and he was asking me from a political perspective what I thought, like, if we were going to keep both houses, and what would happen if, by some miracle, we kept both houses and have the presidency and have the Supreme Court. Katina said, I'm attending the conference tomorrow, and they better not try me. I'm always down to fight. I know. Oh, if you've ever been on Katina Person's Facebook page, you know this is very true. But he asked me what did I think was going to happen if we actually keep. Which I'm telling you, I think we are going to keep both houses after this. I do. Marcia said if they cared about the American people, they would not stand in the way, exactly, of American balance of powers that ultimately keep us free. Right. So it's scary. I said if we keep all the houses plus have the Supreme Court, I fear what is going to happen. And I think that is what's going to happen. I think we are going to keep both houses. I think it'll be narrow, but I think we're going to end up keeping both houses because you're never Trumpers. You're Republicans that are never Trumpers. You're Trumpers. You're independents that are Trumpers. You're baseline Republicans. Like everybody's kind of unified on this one. Like, we just did not have enough evidence to put this man through what we put him through. So, people are mad. Katina said, they didn't want Kavanaugh. It's true. Wait, not to want Kavanaugh is insane. Trump can pick the lady as his next pick. And they will fight her too. Well, here's the thing though, Katina. For them, it's a matter of timing. And they would have fought her too. It's just, they're just trying to buy time because they think they're going to win one of the houses. They're doing the same thing they did in the presidential. They're trying to be strategic, and they're not paying attention to the American people. I wholeheartedly believe that they really thought they could beat Trump, that they were instrumental in getting him to be our nominee because they thought he could be beaten. I think they were scared to death of Marco Rubio because they knew he could beat Hillary, and and probably Ted Cruz maybe as well, and they purposely tried to get Donald Trump to be our nominee because they thought they could beat him. And when you screw around like that with the American people, this is what you get. I mean, the show is good when I'm while watching baseball, but you really need... Marsha, I appreciate that, honey. I do. Thank you so much. You're attending the Walkaway March in D.C. I might meet you there, Katina. If I'm available, I might be there. I might be doing that. I think that's on my calendar, the Walkaway March in D.C. I might be hanging out in the DMV that day. But yeah, what they're doing is insane. And like I said, they're not learning. Clearly, they're not getting it. I don't. It's like, and the only thing to explain that, like when someone just keeps coming at you, and it's completely unreasonable, demonic is the only way you can describe that type of behavior, that type of energy. I mean, you kind of hate to go there, but like, what else is it? And really, they want to maintain baby killing, like so much so that they can't even handle the law going back to the state. Let's just say Roe v. Wade goes away. And it goes back to the state. Like, do you really think, like, New Jersey, where I live, is going to outlaw abortion? No. Do you think California is going to outlaw abortion? Of course not. Like, is it going to be greatly restricted? Probably. Right? Now, every time I mention abortion, my feed goes down. I'll be surprised if my live goes down. But do you think it's going to be do I think it'll be restricted? Sure. It probably will be. Is that a bad thing? That's a horrible thing all of a sudden. That's terrible. There'll be less abortions. I don't know if people saw on my page yesterday. I was in an office where they were playing local ads in the Philadelphia market, and one of the commercials, had this voice, this foreboding female voice saying, and I don't even know who the candidate was, he's even for defunding Planned Parenthood, as if it were some horrible thing. And I just could not. I couldn't gather. You would think they were saying there's a predator outside your door. Like that was like the kind of. I don't. Katina said that's why they are doing this. They wish they could use the courts to push their agenda. Right. Instead of I don't know, the laws. I heard Congress, Katina, maybe. I heard Geraldo say, they were talking about this on a 5 and Geraldo was on there. And they were Eric, they can't get it through Congress, which means the people don't want it. So if they can't get it through Congress and the people don't want it, then leave it alone. I mean, really. But they were talking about whether or not, the Kavanaugh election will do away with Roe v. Wade. And, Jesse Waters was saying it's probably not going to affect Roe v. Wade, blah, blah, blah. And Geraldo was like, well, they keep pushing the date back and they're going to use technology. Now, I don't know what Geraldo's official position is on life. I don't know if he's pro-life or pro-choice. Sounded to me like he's pro-choice. But I thought to myself, did he even understand what he was saying? They keep pushing back the date. Okay. By pushing back the date, you mean they keep making the window smaller and smaller that you can kill a baby. He's pro. Do you understand what he was saying? And that they'll use technology to do it. So in other words, they will use technology so that the mother and the father and the whole world understands how much alive the baby actually is, that it's not a clump of cells. They'll use technology to prove that. And somehow, this is a bad thing. So, I said on my page, Robert Marshall's here in the chat. Hello, Robert Marshall. We're not talking about knives and peanuts today, so you're safe. Don't even worry. That's an inside joke, kinda. Exactly. So, I said on my Facebook page when I was talking about this, if you are pro-choice, wouldn't any honest person want to know what it is that you're for? Wouldn't you want to know, as an honest person, what it is that you're voting for, what it is that you're doing? And I ask a lot of people this who talk about abortion in terms of terminating pregnancy and these very sterile, friendly, diplomatic terms that they use. And, I ask people all the time, do you know what it actually is? Because if you knew what it actually was, I'm not sure you'd be pro-choice. It's not, like a lethal injection. Not how it works. And I encourage people to look it up. If you're pro-choice and you've never looked into exactly what it is, before you decide to continue to support that, I encourage you to look it up and see exactly what the procedure is. And then decide if you're still pro-choice. See what you're supporting. See what the implications are to that clump of cells or that fetus. And then see if you're still pro-choice. If you are, then God bless you. Maybe. But, don't come at me about, wow, Chris. But don't come, Chris in the Facey chat. But don't come at me, about my stance when I know fully what it is that I'm supporting and why I'm supporting it. Or anyone else who's pro-life. So, that's just how it is. We're going to go. That's just how it is. And I said so. Fight me. Anyway, you're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette. And our next hour, we will have Mr. Robert Houston, Senior Credit Analyst, Mr. Credit Repair. He's going to talk to us about taking steps to restore your personal credit. He is also our brand new sponsor. I want to welcome him aboard. So excited to have him as a sponsor of Money Talk with Melanie. We will be right back.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, it's Sean from the Sackheads Radio Show. Also one of the owners here at the SHR Media Network. Are you opinionated? Have you ever wanted to do your own show? Have you ever heard somebody like the Sackheads and go, yeah, I could probably do that better? Well, now's your chance. Send me a 5-minute clip at sackheadsradio@gmail.com, and maybe you can be part of the SHR broadcast. sackheadsradio@gmail.com.
Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, a mere 2 miles from the state capital, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon Radio Show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern, only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad.
When dirty politicians, shadow governments, and deceptive Islam blind the world with fake stream media smoke, their only fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Miller. Join me through shrmedia.com, HighPlainsTalkRadio.com, and the Western Free Radio Network at Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes for a different perspective weekly on the Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on BlogTalkRadio.com. There's no surrender ever, because truth is not always pleasant.
Hey guys, it's Sackhead Clan. I'm excited to tell you about a brand new show here on the SHR Media Network. I'm teaming up with the one and only, all-powerful, the bloviating Zeppelin sitting here to my left, bringing to you a fresh new show here on the network. It's Against Tyranny. And we'll be picking up where the Sackheads left off. Excited to be with you, sir.
Sackheads Against Tyranny.
We're going to chat. We're going to chat Wednesday night. Sackheads Against Tyranny.
Wednesday night, 11 p.m. Oh, it's the same time, right? 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific.
Same SAC time, same SAC channel.
SHRmedia.com.
See what I did there?
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
Human by race, Christian by faith, American by nationality, and conservative by choice. Reverend Ralph J. Chenum Sr. is the right guy on SHR Media from 8:05 to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday. And if on the rare occasion I am ever wrong, I will still always be right. The right guy on SHR Media.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on SHRmedia.com.
Hey, BZ. So, the plan's working. We got rid of Socko. Sean is now stepping away.
I never even saw it.
And I know, insidious. You know, and we talked about this for, for the last 3 years. And finally coming to fruition.
You know, it's all over, right?
It's almost like he's here still. Did you hear that?
Yeah, it's kind of...
It's amazing. It's kind of eerie. Like a poltergeisty thing.
Sackheads Against Tyranny.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Welcome back. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette.